Welcome to a story where secrets live behind every door, and jealousy can become your own undoing. I never imagined that a single letter could change the course of my life, but there it was, sitting on my kitchen counter, golden embossed and heavy with the weight of mystery. To my dearest niece, Eleanor, it began, and my heart pounded like a drum in a silent room. I had never expected to inherit anything, let alone a luxurious apartment in the heart of the city, a place dripping with elegance and history. The thought that my late uncle had left me a secret treasure both thrilled and terrified me. I felt like I had stepped into a dream I was never meant to live. The apartment was more breathtaking than I could have ever imagined. Marble floors that gleamed like liquid sunlight, towering windows framing the city skyline, and a scent of old-world charm that whispered stories of the past. I felt alive, powerful even, like the world had finally tipped in my favor. But happiness has a way of attracting storms, and mine came in the shape of my sister, Miranda, a woman whose greed was as relentless as it was venomous. It took her only 2 days to find out about the apartment. She showed up at my doorstep, wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Eleanor, don't be ridiculous. That apartment belongs to me," she hissed. My pulse quickened, my stomach twisted, but I remained calm. There was something almost cinematic about the way she moved, the way she thought she could intimidate me into surrender. But she didn't know the apartment as I did. Hidden in corners, behind paintings, and beneath antique lamps, I had installed cameras. My uncle's old home had taught me one lesson: always anticipate betrayal. The night she decided to break in, I wasn't just waiting. I was ready. I watched her reflection on my laptop screen as she tiptoed past the grand chandelier, her eyes gleaming with greed. She thought she could outsmart me, but every step she took was recorded, every whisper of her breath, every tremble of her hands. There was an almost cinematic thrill in watching her unfold her plan, oblivious to the fact that I was witnessing it from the shadows. I had thought about confrontation for hours, crafting each moment like a director in a suspense thriller. I would not yell, I would not chase. No, I would let her reveal herself entirely, allow her to weave her own web of self-destruction. The cameras captured everything: the nervous glances at the locks, the hurried search through drawers, the greed painting her face with shadows and light. I felt my pulse thrum with anticipation, a mix of fear, exhilaration, and a hint of poetic justice. Finally, I stepped out from my hidden spot. The soft click of my heels on the marble floor made her startle, and the sharp inhale of her breath echoed through the room. "Miranda," I said, voice calm but sharp, slicing through the tension like a knife. "You must really love my uncle's legacy to risk so much for it." She froze, her eyes darting to the corners, then to me, realizing the cameras weren't just recording, they were exposing every misstep. I let her fumble, let her panic. "Eleanor, this isn't what you think," she began, but her words were hollow, a feeble attempt at defense against the evidence playing back on the monitor. I motioned toward the screen. There she was, in her full greed and desperation, a mirror of her own undoing. "This is exactly what I think," I said softly, savoring the moment. "And now everyone will see the truth of your intentions." The confrontation didn't need force, it needed strategy. I had shared the footage with a lawyer and a few trusted friends who knew our family's history. Within minutes, Miranda realized her schemes were public, that her reputation, her arrogance, and her lies had been captured in pristine clarity. She crumbled, the veneer of superiority peeling away like paint from old wood. I could see the regret, the fear, the bitter realization that her own greed had orchestrated her downfall. But I didn't laugh. There was no joy in humiliation. I had wanted justice, not cruelty. Watching her shrink under the weight of her own actions, I felt a complex mix of satisfaction and sorrow. Families break in ways words cannot mend, and though I had claimed my victory, I could still feel the ache of what had once been love, now corroded by envy. Miranda finally turned to me, eyes glossy, her voice trembling. "Eleanor, I'm sorry." I didn't reply immediately. Silence hung in the room like an old photograph, heavy with unspoken histories. Then, with a deep breath, I said, "Actions speak louder than apologies. Learn from this." She left without another word, the echo of her heels a fading reminder that greed can blind even the closest of kin. Alone, I walked through the apartment, letting the quiet embrace me. The city outside sparkled like scattered diamonds, indifferent to the human dramas unfolding within its walls. I realized that the inheritance was more than wealth. It was clarity, empowerment, a lesson in vigilance, and the bittersweet proof that cunning could turn betrayal into protection. I poured myself a glass of wine, raising it silently to the city skyline. To anyone listening to this story, remember, trust wisely, act deliberately, and never underestimate the power of foresight. Life has a way of teaching lessons in the most unexpected of ways, and sometimes those lessons come wrapped in luxury, betrayal, and the unshakable thrill of suspense. Cherish your victories, learn from your missteps, and always, always protect your dignity. Because the most powerful revenge isn't anger, it's calm, calculated justice. So, to all of you watching, I wish you courage in moments of deception, clarity in times of chaos, and the wisdom to turn even the deepest betrayal into your own triumph. May your life be filled with thrilling stories, but may you always emerge from them stronger, wiser, and victorious.